So, I'm back from a 6-week hiatus. A hiatus I took for, I don't know, some reason, slothfulness mainly, but I'm back now. And there's been a lot of talk in the YouTube community about PvP recently and the use of social skills against player characters. Now I want to address both these things, but in this video I'm going to address using social skills against player characters. And this is going to be a video response to Natural 20 Carl's video in which he talked about this. And so, first of all, no one likes losing free will in an RPG. You know, I even use domination spells and mind control very sparingly, even though I'm a fan of psychic powers and things like that. Now, mind control and domination is in all sorts of myths and stories out there, but even then, it's used sparingly because it really cheats the hero. See, for example, like Luke Skywalker, he never got dominated mentally by by Emperor Palpatine into just joining the dark side there and then, or jumping into the void of space. Now, Emperor Palpatine is probably strong enough to do this, but it never happened in the story because that would be lame. So, what do you do when a NPC or another PC is trying to use a social skill to convince another player character? Plan A is to just role play it out. Plan A is always role playing. So what you do is you role play out this exchange, between the two characters, NPC or PC, and you ask yourself during this exchange, is this other character convincing? Would my character get with what he's saying? You want to, would you hear them out in this exchange? And it can be fun to go along with bad ideas, ones that is a bad idea as a player, but your character may have been bamboozled or just, regular plain old influenced into thinking that this is a good idea. Like, yeah, that druid said that I should get bare-ass naked, smear myself in honey, and then wrestle that honey badger. I think I'm man enough to do that. I'm a dwarf. Ugh. That sort of thing. And so what you should do in these exchanges is always consider buying in to new ideas, and always sell for characters opposite of you that are charismatic or that are making good arguments. So jumpstart your role-playing economy with buying in and selling for. But that's role-playing. So what about role-playing with dice? Is it okay to use a skill check to convince another player character of something? I say yes, but as a last resort. So a while ago I was a player in a Vampire the Masquerade game, right? And another player, he just straight up refused to be persuaded by anyone. If it was an NPC trying to persuade him, he was like, no, storyteller's trying to trick me and lead me away from my goals. And if it was another PC like me trying to persuade him of something, he would say, no, son, my character's a badass and I bow to no man. I'm not going to get convinced by you. And so I had to ask him, what is the point? If no one is allowed to persuade you through role-playing or dice rolls, what is the point of any NPC having any sort of social stats and skills? Is it just for NPCs going and convincing other NPCs? Because the Prince of the Sea he's got his charisma and he's got his persuade and he's got his subterfuge. Like, he has that for a reason. The reason is to use them against obstinate players. And I learned this through observation in this game. Now, there is a scene in which this player character, he was an anarch, and he was being seduced, quite literally, over to the side of the Camarilla by a social shark, a Toreador, who's been talking to him. And so the scene was role-played, totally normal. The Toreador, she's making her valid points about extolling the virtues of the Camarilla and why anarchs are smelly and lame. And the player character was I don't want to listen to this Toreador. And so then roles were made. The Toreador using her appearance and charisma and subterfuge and and all those sort of skills, and the player character using his willpower to resist. Anyway, dice hit the table. Eventually the Toreador, she's just plain getting more successes. The Toreador has essentially won this scene. And at this, the player sees it and goes, I'm gonna attack her. And the storyteller said, no, you cannot attack her because she has convinced you, she has seduced you, and it's just, you don't feel like you should be attacking her. Besides, I mean, that's pretty egregious metagaming there, is seeing these successes on the table and then immediately attacking the Toreador. So normally this sort of thing is just not done in role-playing games. I'm talking about a storyteller telling the player character what the character thinks or what their mood is. But the combination of previously role-played scene that we all saw, the rolls that were made for the scene that we all saw, and let's be honest here, stopping some pretty egregious metagaming, all these things came together and it made the storyteller's ruling of, no, you can't just attack the Toreador. It made that ruling seem fair, to be quite honest. And the character in question was still free to be an anarch. He was not mind controlled into joining the Camarilla. He did not have to trust this Toreador, but at least for the moment, he was intrigued enough not to yank her head right off of her shoulders. And that felt right in the moment. So that's a pretty extreme example, and it was from a while ago. So how would I today rule on using persuasion rolls against a player character? Well, first of all, it's never mind control. It can't force you to do anything. It doesn't take away your free will, of course. But it is influence. And what this means is an NPC will put ideas and doubts and temptations into a character's mind. Now, do you act upon them? Well, it's completely up to you. But they are floating around in your nebulous brain. And so you need to acknowledge these things through your roleplay. And enough influence over enough time can certainly change a mind. You see, the cleric of Squishboo, the god of soft and fluffy things, may decide one day that, my charismatic friend over here, this cleric of Talos, we disagree on a lot of things, but darn if he doesn't have some good ideas. And so eventually, perhaps the cleric of Squishboo will instead wish to be thunderstruck and join the Church of Talos. Now, he hasn't been mind controlled, he's just been influenced because he has had those ideas rattling around in his head. So what I mean by it is it's not mind control, is it like, imagine this, Abe Lincoln appears and he's given a piggyback ride to Freddie Mercury and they're just doubling down on the 18 charisma. Well, if they go, hey player character, you know what you should do? You should jump into that volcano. Well, it doesn't matter what they roll on their charisma check. They're not going to make a sane character jump into a volcano just because they're awesome and they say so. No, it's not mind control, it is influence. And, if you meet such an amazing character, you should sell for that charisma and be like, oh man, this guy's great. And you should buy in to their ideas that they speak of if it is the sort of thing that your character can get with. It is not mind control and you do not have to do what they say. Even though Abe Mercury sounds like a pretty awesome guy. He'd just be freeing slaves, and he'd be a singer of songs and a lover of life. And man, I would totally, I'd vote for him. I would contribute to his campaign. I'd certainly buy all of his albums. I'm my own man. I make my own choices, but yeah, I'm making my own choices to serve Abe Mercury. He's just an awesome dude. He makes you like, yeah, man, I want to just be around this guy, and if he needs favors, I'll do them for him. I'll help him move, and I won't even ask for anything in return. And did I just get persuaded by an NPC I just made up?